How's it going, Scrub Gamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and today we have a bit more Star Wars content for you all, and it's another one of those spoiler and reveal kind of videos where we go over even more Set 2 Shadows of the Galaxy reveals. Because if you haven't seen, we had another bunch of spoilers, like a load more reveals from the Set 2 to see kind of more of what the set is going to give us in different aspects and stuff like that as well. So if you are interested in seeing what kind of new cards we've got revealed for Set 2 and kind of what more things we can look forward to, then stay ahead and stay tuned and keep watching. And before we get into the video, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. It keeps you updated with my videos as and when they drop, so you can watch them there and then. Or if you click the notification bell, you can get alerts to my videos do drop, so you can watch them there and then and be notified of it, or watch them at a later time to suit you. So with that out of the way, let's go and have a look and see what new cards we basically can look to expect from Set 2 Shadows of the Galaxy. So starting off with one of the first leaders we got shown. So we got some leaders shown, so we now see some of them, and we're still not. Well, we're probably going to get another load of leaders like we've got in the first set, where we get like 2 in each different aspect, like the good side and the bad side, 2 of each maybe. We might just get 1 of each good side. We're not sure yet because we haven't got like a clear indication of how many leads there are going to be, because we got like a load in set 1. But even if we get just 1 each of different aspects and they are like a good side and a bad side, that's still a fair few leaders to have. It's on top of the start deck ones. So we'll get to see that and see what we get. But so far we've got some leaders shown, and we got the start of the Bad Batch with the leader of Hunter. So Hunter from the Bad Batch is the leader for Heroic and Command, or Green White, and he looks quite an interesting one. So he's one of those ones that comes down quite late. So because his deployment is when you have control 7 or more resources, which is not too bad considering he's in the aspect that ramp. So can get him out a little bit earlier. So he drops at 7 resources, but comes down at a whopping 5-8, which is pretty nice stats, very good stats for his late deployment. I think this is like similar to Vader, which is quite cool. And he's Hunter, so he's like part of the Bad Batch, the Outcast Sergeant. And he's got the traits Fringe and Clone, so there's going to be a bit more support for Clone in this one, considering the Bad Batch as well. We saw a few clones, we saw some clones, like at least Wolf. I can't remember whatever ones we saw that were clones in set 1, and now we've got Hunter in the Bad Batch set 2, so we should see more of the Bad Batch as well among the units in the set as well to go with him. So he's got an interesting effect on when he's in the leader area, which is action by paying 1 and tapping himself. You can reveal a resource you control, so show 1 of your resources you have, and if it shares a name with a friendly unique unit, then you get to return a resource to it, or return the resource to its owner's hand, and put the top card of your deck in play as a resource. So it's kind of cool. So if you resource something that's like a unique unit that you kind of want early on, you can always get it back with Hunter as long as you play a card with the same name, which is very easy to do. So that's quite nice, because I think it'd be interesting. Like some effects have like a unique unit, or like if you want to get it back, like if it's a good unit, you get to charge it early on. It's a late game unit. You can kind of grab it back if you drop another one, which is pretty cool. So allows you to kind of get back things like resource manipulation, or to get back things that you normally would have, like same like a little bit like smuggle. So nice like resource interaction with this set, which is quite cool. So when you do deploy him and he comes down, he has overwhelm, meaning if he does damage, that damage is then, well, if he does damage to a unit and the damage it does exceeds the amount of HP on the unit, then basically any excess damage goes to your opponent's base, which is quite cool. Nice little thing to have in addition to it. And then you also got the on attack effect. So now his action is now an on attack, where you may reveal a resource you control. If it shares the same name as a friendly unit you control, well, as a friendly unique unit, it's got to be unique. Remember, it's got to be unique. So he's got a little star before the name of the card. Then you get to return the resource to its owner's hand and put the top card of your deck in play as a resource. And remember, anytime a resource is brought in, unless it says it comes in active, it comes in exhausted. Like everything comes in exhausted, unless otherwise stated. So that's a good thing to remember. So while you would get a resource, remember you want to always, ideally on the leader side, tap the unit that you want, or the resource that you want to reveal. So that way it's exhausted and you don't waste the resource. Because if you do it on a resource that's active or are ready, then you're going to lose access to that resource to basically pay for stuff, which is cool. Which is, well, not cool really. So Hunt is a pretty nice one, pretty interesting. And there's the art that we got shown in one of the trailer things as well. So that's quite cool. So you can see that is Hunter. He's got his trusty little knife. So that is the first leader. Looks pretty interesting, and would like to be seeing the rest of the Bad Batch as well alongside him. So the next one we have is Bo-Katan. So Bo-Katan from The Mandalorian comes in, which is quite cool. So she comes in as a leader as well. So because we did see that there's going to be more emphasis on like the Shadows of the Galaxy with like Cad Bane, Moff Gideon, and it seems like for this set it covers the series Rebel. Well, maybe not sure about Rebels, but it covers like the Mandalorian. It covers the Bad Batch. So those are like two series it's going to be covering. So we maybe get Ahsoka in this set, maybe potentially. She's in the Mandalorian, maybe as a unit, and also we've got Bo-Katan as well from the Mandalorian as well. So she is another pretty nice unit. Like deploys at 6 resources, not too late, but like not too early. And she has the same stats as like Boba, so pretty solid stats, 4 damage and 7 health. And she has the Mandalorian trait, so she's just got Mandalorian because she is just a Mandalorian. So that's quite cool. So there's going to be more than Mandalorian support in this set. And her like leader effect is action by tapping her. If you attack with a Mandalorian unit this phase, you get to deal 1 damage to a unit. So it's got the kind of thing of like a Vader kind of like doing damage, but instead of just doing a base to a unit and to a base, you have to do it you just do a damage to a unit as long as the Mandalorian attacks, which is quite cool. So you kind of like chip damage away at things as well. And then when she's deployed, she's got once again solid stats. Also, she's in aggression and heroics. That's quite nice. Aggression and heroic for her character, and she's a rare leader as well. I can't remember if Hunter was a rare leader, but you can check that back if you want to rewind. But then when she's deployed, on attack, she's got an on attack where you deal 1 damage to a unit, and if you attack with another Mandalorian unit this phase, you deal 1 damage to a unit, and it says there the same unit or a different unit. So you can either potentially do on attack 2 damage to a unit, which is like almost like Vader as well, being a 2 damage when it attacks. But you need to attack with a Mandalorian unit that's a different one, not herself. So that's quite cool, like quite an interesting unit. Like I've kind of now gone with the whole thing is like not really judging a unit because there are some units, not units, sorry, leaders, not really judging them because there were some set when I looked at them thought this not going to be that great, like Thrawn and stuff like that, like Gian Erso and things. And like after playing and like trying them out a little bit, or seeing them be played, or seeing lists from, I've just got intrigued when like I didn't really think about that, and I've been more in tune to want to try out all the different leaders. So Bo-Katan quite interesting, but we do need to see more of the set, like what other Mandalorians, kind of see like the whole puzzle, because she is just a piece of it. So that's the only 2 leaders we saw. So it's just Hunter from the Bad Batch and Bo-Katan from the Mandalorian that we see as leaders for the first lot. Then we go into some cards as well. So we've got the rest of the Bad Batch. We did get spoiled all the members of the Bad Batch because you remember last time we got shown Crosshair, and now we get to see the rest of them. And if you watch the Bad Batch, which I have only like recently just watched because I thought I might as well watch it because it seems like Bad Batch is going to be part of it after seeing that, and wanted to kind of watch it to kind of understand them a bit more. And I love the series. And with these, we get the rest of the batch. So we get Echo, Wrecker, Omega, and Tech as well. So you can kind of see from the little subtitles, their little names, you can kind of see which ones they were. Because I remember they put like FFG put out a like a little thing showing like kind of hints at what kind of cards we're going to get with like their subtitles. And of course, Wrecker was easily Boom if you watched Bad Batch. Boom is easily Wrecker. And these are quite interesting. So we got more different, so all quite in different aspects. But then, unlike Hera, Hunter doesn't have that kind of like effect where you can ignore the aspect penalty on like certain ones because they don't have to trait Bad Batch. They just got the same fringe and clone traits, which makes sense because they are clones. I'm not sure with fringe though, but so we got different ones, but luckily Omega here can allow us to play more. So Omega is a 2 cost in Cunning and Heroic. 2/2 stats, and she's got the effect of ignore the aspect penalty on the first clone unit you play each round. So you can technically play out a clone each round while she's on board to and ignore the aspect penalty. So you can play different ones, even if you're not like playing aggression for Wrecker to go with Hunter like with the base. You can still play out Wrecker, which is quite cool. Or it even allows you to play Crosshair, despite him being a villain unit, because if you watch the series, spoiler, he's majority of the series on that side of the Empire rather than with the Bad Batch. But that's quite cool. And you also got a when played where you search the top 5 cards of your deck for a clone card, reveal it, and then draw it, and then put the rest of the cards on the bottom of your deck in random order. So nice little great turn 1 play to start you off, and also give give you a little bit of search for some clones so you can start playing them out. And then you've got some other ones. So you've got tech being the next one in like the cost order, being a just heroic one, so not command, not aggression, and like kind of like thinking what he would be in. Like he's not like too cunning, but like Omega's quite cunning. Like tech, he's not very commanding. He's not aggressive. He could be vigilant, but I'm actually just going for heroic because he doesn't really fit like how he is with the rest of the aspects. But he is a pretty nice unit, but free cost for 2/5 for its stats, pretty decent. And he's got a nice little effect where each friendly resource gains smuggle, and the gain smuggle cost is that the card's cost +2 and its aspect icon. And for himself, he's smuggle for 4, and you need to have the heroic symbol, so you can smuggle him in as well for a 4 instead of like if you rather than pay it for free. So you can play out later the game from your resource if you have it there. So that's quite nice. Like smuggle makes it so it's a lot easier to kind of know what you want to resource because you can always bring it back later if you don't need it straight away, which is a really nice addition to the game. And then next one in the cost is Echo there, being a command unit in heroic as well. 4/4 stats, pretty solid. We've seen with K2SO and stuff that is some pretty solid stats. Also has restore 2, so it brings a bit of healing to you. But then he's also got an effect. He's got on one played effect most of the Bad Batch, where you can discard a card from your hand and then give 2 experience tokens to a unit in play with the same name as the discarded card. So it kind of like goes well with like Hunter's kind of effect to kind of add back some cards that you already have on board, like the kind of synergy with that to allow you to make use of Echo and things that will just play more cards as well. Because you can potentially ditch if you've got a tech on board, you can ditch a copy of tech to give him more experience as well, which is quite nice. But then, do you want to give up a copy of like tech and stuff to just in case it is taken out to not have as many to play next turn, or like in future turns, which is a good call. But then for anything else, that's if you've got multiple of the same unit, you can always use the Echo to kind of boost them up, which is quite cool. So quite a nice effect. And then you got Wrecker being not a 5 cost, but a 6 cost in aggression. Very good stacks in 7 and 6. So he's very powerful like Wrecker is. And he's taking quite a hit. Like Wrecker can take quite a few hits. Also has Overwhelm like Hunter does when he deploys. And he's got a lovely one played where you can defeat a friendly resource. And if you do, deal 5 damage to a ground unit. So that's pretty nice. Just literally kill off one unit, kill off one of your resources, which is not too bad when you're with Hunter. You're in the aspect that allows you to ramp, and then have Wrecker be able to go ahead and just basically come down, sack off a resource you don't care, preferably one of the ones you tap to play Wrecker, and then be able to deal 5 damage to a ground unit, which could potentially defeat a fair few units, which is nice. So Wrecker being a very nice like standalone unit and a good one for the Bad Batch as well. So like some really nice cards for Bad Batch. Looking forward to seeing what more cards you kind of have to play with Hunter as well. So then we have some Mandalorians. We have some heroic ones as well. So we have some good Mandalorians because there are some good ones. And you've got a few here. So we've got Ketsu Onyo. You've got Night Owl Skirmisher, and you've got Koska. I think it's Koska Reeves. So they're all Mandalorians with a few more. So like Ketsu. Ketsu is also Underworld and a bounty hunter. Night Owl was a trooper, and so is Koska. So Ketsu's the cheapest one here at a 2 cost with like the reverse stats of Sabine, where she's got 3 damage instead of 2 damage and 2 health instead of 3 damage. She also has Saboteur, so she can ignore Sentinels and defeat shields, which is quite nice. And then she's got a nice little effect. But when this unit deals combat damage to a base, you can defeat an upgrade that costs 2 or less. You can kind of like upgrade hate, which is not something you see too much of in the game currently. But then we get more as we get more like focus on upgrades and stuff. You got Night Owl Skirmisher, a little bit more costly at 3, and then stats go up by 1 each. So extra 4 power and 3 power, so it's gone up by 1 from that one. And the only effect it's got is a smuggle cost, being you can smuggle it in for 5 resources as long as you, and then also the aspects being aggression and heroic. So that's basically what it gives. Just a Mandalorian you could smuggle in later. Then you got Koska Reeves here. So she's got 4 damage, pretty nice, and 5 health, which is pretty decent for a 4 cost. And all she's got for effect is on attack if this user is upgraded, so it's a focus on upgrades for the Mandalorians. And then you can deal 2 damage to ground units once she's upgraded. Remember, most upgrades kind of like give booster stats. so she can be even stronger and be able to like chip damage away at some ground units, which goes pretty well with Bo-Katan as well. So those are some of the heroic. Those are the heroic Mandalorians. Then you have the other Mandalorians, the ones that are not so heroic. You got Followed Away, being a Vigilance Mandalorian. So Mandalorians are primarily for set 2 in aggression and vigilance, so blue and red. And Followed Away is like a nice 2-cost you can build turn 1. Only 1 free to stats, but while it's upgraded, you get extra +1/1. So you put an experience token on it, that counts as an upgrade. Gives it an extra 2/2 instead of 1/1 like a normal upgrade would. But the only thing is, it's only for it just was upgraded, so you can put as many upgrades on it as possible, and it still only gets that 1/1, not 1 for each. Like I messed around it before when I first saw it, thinking it was 1 for each, thinking that was amazing, but no, it's just a little bit stronger. But then, as we said, the upgrades normally give a stat boost to the card. So if you put something that gives it a bit more power, it then get the 1/1, it even stronger, especially for a 2-cost, which is pretty nice. Then you got Death Watch Loyalist being the first Mandalorian you've seen on the dark side. So it's a 3-cost dark side one in aggression with 3 free stats and a Mandalorian and Trooper. Goes quite well with the like we're getting a lot more like good units for what's his name, the Grand Inquisitor, which is good. Like this is good with Grand Inquisitor. It's the right cost to focus with Grand Inquisitor's whole doing damage to things to kind of restand them so they can attack again. Also has grit, so the more damage it does take, the stronger it gets, which is quite cool. And go along with that, it also has overwhelm, so if it does damage to a unit and that damage exceeds the HP it's got left, you do that excess damage to the opponent's base, which is really nice. And speaking of overwhelm, we also got clan challenges here, being a more expensive one at 5 costs, but not on the dark side, just aggression with 3 and 6 to its stats. Same traits as well. Also has raid 3, so whenever it attacks, it gains extra 3 powers. So it's in for 6, which is what do you expect for like such a high costing card? And if you have him upgraded, then he gains overwhelm, so excess damage to your unit goes to your opponent's base. So another one that's very nice with Grand Inquisitor. But then you always want to like kind of reset it with Grand Inquisitor first, then put the upgrade on if you can, because otherwise upgrades normally give a boost, like a boost in stats, which normally go to power, and or HP could go to both on one or the other. But then if you just have this without upgrades, not worry about overwhelm, and just do it with Grand Inquisitor, you still get swing, raid free, basically swing for 6 on each time with it, and can restand it again with Grand Inquisitor, which is very nice. So Grand Inquisitor gets some really nice cards to go with it as well to make it a bit stronger, and some really nice Mandalorians as well for the second set. Then we got some Vigilance cards. So we got some Vigilance cards here, being some dark side ones and light side ones, and I think they said for the Vigilance in set 2 is going to have a bigger focus on grit. Grit being a keyword skill where if you would like any damage you have is converted into whatever damage you have on the card is converted into power. So like I said on Gentle Giant here, like grit, this unit gets extra +1 power for each damage on it. So the more damage you take, the more powerful the card gets. But we've got Sentinel Spike here. Well, Pike Sentinel here being a basic 2-cost unit that has a 2 free to stats and has Sentinels. Pretty nice one there. Very good for a set, basically turn 1 play. And also Sentinel means you can have that protection as well, which is really cool to protect your base. Then you have First Light being part of Crimson Dawn. So it's nice to see that Crimson Dawn is going to be in set 2 as well as part of it. So from the Han Solo film. Well, that's only where I know it from, the Han Solo film. So maybe get Kaya, maybe like younger Han and stuff like that. And I can't remember who the I can't remember the names of the characters. Han Solo film, so not that noteworthy from when I watched them. But it's nice to be some of those to come in because some of them are pretty cool. And then we got so it's a 7-cost dark side of Vigilance unit, 4/7 to its stats. And it also has grit, so more damage it takes, the stronger it gets. And while it's on board, it also gives every other friendly non-leader unit grit as well. So all your other units, even if it doesn't have grit, gain grit. So the more damage they take, the more powerful they are. And you can even smuggle it in for the same cost. So it's got a unique kind of smuggle, where most of the time when you have smuggle on a card, it has more. It costs more than what the card actually costs. But for a First Light, it costs the same as what it would normally cost. Same aspects, but the addition to the smuggle is you have to deal 4 damage to a friendly unit. But consider that you have the ability to give each other friendly non-leader unit grit, means you can turn that 4 damage into more power on different units. So you kind of like getting more of a benefit than you are a negative. Like, well, instead of getting more of attacks to be able to smuggle it out, you're getting more of a benefit in doing that. So that's pretty nice. So if you see this early, if you're playing this, you see it early, you're going to straight away charge that or resource that. So later in the game, you can just play it out for the same cost it would normally be, but deal 4 damage to a non-friendly unit. So that way it gets a bit stronger thanks to First Light. Then you have the Gentle Giant here. So this one's quite an interesting one. It's a 6 cost with 2/8, so of like pretty nice stats, like a Jabba, like one of those ones that like don't do too much damage but have a lot of bulk. And it's a Wookiee as well, so we're seeing a Never Wookiee. That's not Chewbacca. And this one has a different way to kind of using grit, because it has grip, so more damage it takes, stronger it gets. It can be a bit stronger, but it's got a nice little on attack where you heal damage from another unit equal to the damage on this unit. So the more damage it takes, the more it can heal the rest of the units as well, which is really nice. Considering it's got a hefty bit of bulk in 8 health, means it can heal quite a bit and like put some proper damage in as well, which is really nice. So those are some Vigilance cards. Then we got some more command cards as well, so we got a fair few shown. So we got Pirate Battle Tank being a nice later game dark side one. Just a 6 cost with 4/6 stats. Sentinel as well, and then the smuggle being like just a bit more costly, 7 to smuggle in, so you can smuggle it for like one more than you would normally like just play it normally for, but you can like smuggle in a Sentinel, which is pretty nice, not too bad. You got Clone Deserter here, being a very good, like very cheap unit, being a 1 cost. Also Clone as well, Fringe Clone. 2 free to stats, gives you restore as well, so every time it's attacking, it's healing 1 from your base. But it does come with a bounty, because like such great stats and such a low cost come at a cost, and that comes at a bounty because it is a Clone Deserter, so it's got a bounty on him, and the bounty is draw a card. So when this unit is defeated or captured, your opponent collects the bounty. But that's not too bad. You don't really care too much about drawing a card. Like with the bounties, drawing cards isn't that bad, because you want to get more options and stuff to use it. But if they can't have the resource to use it, it's not too bad. But where like bounties that like take untap resources, that's the like more dangerous kind of bounties. Then we got Reputable Hunter, being a 3 cost 3/4, but as an effect where if an enemy unit has a bounty, this unit costs 1 less to play, but it can come in for a 2 cost if your opponent has bounty. So if your opponent plays a Clone Deserter on turn 1, you can play this out turn 1 as well for 2 resources because your opponent has a card with bounty. Or you can even, with some, as we've seen, we got some cards that you can actually like upgrade. You can put on your opponent's cards to give them a bounty. So be able to like use Wanted to put a bounty on your opponent's card. It means you can play this out a bit cheaper as well, which is very nice combo. And it's there a Bounty Hunter. It's got some focus on Bounty Hunter in this one, consider it is Shadows of the Galaxy. Then we've also got Take Captive. So this is a nice little event, 3 cost event, a tactic for a command, and it just allows you to make one of your friendly units capture an enemy non-leader unit in the same arena. So you can do only do ground to ground, space to space, and then you put the captured card face down under the unit until that unit leaves play. So that's pretty cool. But so you can use any friendly unit to capture an enemy. So you can use one if you deploy your leader. You can use this to make your leader capture a unit. Because then if it's because one thing I do want to try is, considering like how Churro is like a very hard leader to remove by damage unless you insta kill it. Be able to use something like the capture mechanic with Churro, to take cards put underneath him, means it's going to be a very nice way, like a good amount of removal to take things out, and Churro being very hard to remove, it's going to be hard to kind of get it back. So that's pretty cool. And because there's this just command, it can be a good reason to play command with Churro as well. But these are some pretty nice cards, some pretty nice new ones we're getting. And then we got some aggression cards as well. So we got a lot of aggression cards in this lot of reveals, like not just a leader and a load of Mandalorians, but we got some other stuff as well. So we got Covetous, I think it's Covetous Rival. I think that's how you say it. Being a nice 6 cost 5/5 bounty hunter. Also comes with grit, so we're gonna see a fair few cards with grit in this set. And it's got an on play, which kind of goes pretty well with the bounty mechanic, where when played or on attack, you can deal 2 damage to a unit with bounty. Remember, when a unit with bounty is defeated, the opponent of that card gets to claim the bounty. So if your opponent's got a card with bounty on, you play this and this takes it out. You can like use this to like on play and attack out, and even ECL it in as well. So energy conversion allow it in to kind of get the when played and on attack. This can also potentially do 4 damage to something with bounty, maybe take it out and attack something else, which is pretty cool. So a very interesting unit, very good for draft sealed as well. And then we got IG-11. I can't remember which one this is. I think this one's from the Mandalorian. I'm not sure what IG-88 is from, but this one seems to be from the Mandalorian, from the artwork. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not sure which IG it is. I just remember it was an IG unit, and it's a droid bounty hunter. 5 cost, 6 free to stats, so pretty cool. And it's got like an anti-capture effect, where if this unit would be captured, you defeat him instead, and deal 3 damage to each ground unit instead. So if your opponent wants to try and capture it, it's just going to blow itself up and then damage everything in the ground arena for 3 damage. But not only that, it's also got on attack where you can deal 3 damage to a damaged damaged ground unit. So unfortunately, you can't just do outright 3 damage to something. That's apparently a bit too strong. But you can deal 3 damage to a damaged ground unit, and the damaged unit is basically any unit that's got damage counters on. So if you can just pop 1 damage counter on a card, you can then make it a target for this effect. Then you got Ruthlessness, so a new upgrade in also villainy aggression, so red-black. 1 cost gives an extra 2 to the power but nothing to the health, and it gives an effect to the attached unit, meaning that when the unit attacks and defeats a unit, you deal 2 damage to a defending player's base. So it gives them more like emphasis on being able to take out units rather than go for base. So you can take out the unit, and then if you do, you then get to put that damage, like 2 damage on your opponent's base, so like you also did an attack to base, which is cool. And you have Crippling Authority being a pretty nice one for like a bit of hand control as well. It was a 2 cost heroic aggression event. It was also a trick, just unfortunately you're going to have to pay, like, well, you can make it cheaper with Jabba. You're going to still have the asset penalty because Jabba is 2 different aspects different, so you're not going to be able to have heroic, at least heroic when he's villainy, to kind of make this cheaper. So you can make it 4 if you played in the deck with Jabba, but then Jabba can make it 3 costs. So it's quite interesting that. Like, always looking for like different trick events to see what kind of Jabba can make a lot cheaper or a bit cheaper for some fun shenanigans in Cunning. And this one allows you to draw a card, and then each opponent who controls more resources to you, so if you have someone who's ramped up quicker than you, you can make them discard a card from hand. So a bit of hand control to punish like people that, well, decks that like charge up more resources than you do, which is pretty cool. Because if they're charging more resources, they're probably charging every turn, using more cards from hand. So you can add to that hand control and just like kind of rip cards from the hand, which is pretty nice. So that is the aggression cards. Then we have some cunning units. So we've got some cunning units here in both dark and also heroic as well. So a villainy one and a heroic one. We got Dr. Everson. So this is a nice 2 cost unit with 3 free tilt stats, and he comes in shielded. So very good, like a very early play at turn 1. Comes in shielded as well, so he's got protection, but he comes with a bounty, and like a bounty you don't really want to, which kind of stops you wanting to play in the late game, unless you can like kind of play around the negative side of it. And the bounty is you're allowed to ready up to 12 units, 12 resources, because he's got a little subtitle being wanted on 12 systems. So he's got that kind of like flavor text in the bounty allows your opponent to allows the opponent to ready up to 12 resources. So it'll be interesting to see if we can have if we get a card allowing you to put units on your opponent's board, like if you play units on your opponent's side, so you can take him out and collect the bounty. So that'll be pretty cool with Dr. Estevan, being able to give your opponent him, take him out, and then really back 12 of your resources. But he's not something you want to play later in the game, because if he gets taken out, he does come in shielded, but if your opponent has a way to insta-KO him, then they're going to claim that bounty and basically not really have paid much of a cost to what they played to get rid of him. But if you play him early, he's a pretty nice unit coming on turn 1, so like same as Battlefield Marine. Well, yeah, Battlefield Marine, that you can come down on turn 1, a 3/3 unit, comes shielded as well, it's got protection. And one thing is, with a bounty, you have to defeat the unit or capture it, but it doesn't say anything about bouncing it back to hand or anything like that. And in Cunning, you got some cards that kind of bounce, like put things back to hand. So you can always like play it out turn 1, get some swings in with it until its shield's defeated. Then once it is defeated, they use like things like Waylay or like Cunning and stuff to bounce it back to your hand. So it's out the way, so you probably can't claim that bounty. Or even if it does lose the shield and you got the initiative for the turn, you can always ram it into a unit to take itself out. And where you've had the first turn of that turn due to initiative, your opponent doesn't get the benefit of the untapping 12 because they haven't tapped any resources to do anything before it's been defeated. So one thing to think about that. And then we have LG like L337 here, which I think is Lando's Kelper droid from the Solo film. And it's 2 cost, 2/2 units, so not the pretty basic stats, not anything like amazing. Underworld and Droid trait, we haven't seen much use of Droid, but we're going to see more Underworld support in this set. Cunning and Heroic as well, and he's got when played, you may rescue a captured unit, and if you don't, give a shield token to the unit. So if you play it turn 1, you're not going to be able to rescue anything, so that's going captured, so you'll just straight away get a shield to it. So it's basically like a crafty smuggler for the heroic side of Cunning, which is quite cool. You can also smuggle it in later as well, so it's got a smuggle, which is always a nice benefit. It makes it easier so you can just charge it and mob resource it and then play it out later. And then, but then it provides more ways to rescue captured cards, which is quite nice. So that's that one. And then we've got some Cunning events as well, because Cunning always has a fair, or at least set 1 had a fair few events. So we got a few more for this one. And nice thing is we've got Never Trick, and we got 2 tactic ones as well. So we got the heroic one being a free cost spare the target. So this one allows you to return a enemy non-leader unit to his owner's hand and collect that unit's bounties. So if you got a bounty, if your opponent has something with a bounty on, or you've put like wanted on a card, you can use this as like a heroic waylay to bounce back an enemy non-leader unit to hand. And if it's got a bounty, you get it back, collect that bounty, which is quite nice. So that's pretty cool. Like having more waylays, and even if you have to collect, even if it's not something with bounty, it's still a never use of waylay for for like heroic side of Cunning. Just you don't get to bounce your own cards, you can only bounce your opponents, which is the enemy ones. Then we got McClunky here, which is a 1-cost unit. That's Underworld and Trick, so it's a nice trick, meaning you can make it cheaper with Jabba. And it allows you to return a friendly non-leader Underworld unit to his owner's hand, which is even Jabba himself, a way to kind of get Jabba out of the way if he's taking a bit of damage, because he has got a lot of bulk. But if you want to save him from like being finished off, you can always use this on him. And then if you do, you deal 3 damage to a unit. So with the more support of Underworld cards in this and this kind of thing, be able to use this out to kind of take back the Underworld units. You can even get his on-play effect, or even like save it from being defeated by taking too much damage, and then also getting a benefit of dealing 3 damage to something as well. So that's pretty cool. A nice little addition. I'm looking forward to seeing whatever tricks and I can work that in with my Cunning deck with Boba. Boba and Jabba. And then the last one we've got here is Relentless Pursuit, being a 3-cost tactic, and it allows you to choose a friendly unit, and then it captures an enemy non-leader unit that costs the same as or less than it. And if the friendly unit is a bounty hunter, you give a shield token to that unit. So you basically put the captured card face down under a friendly unit until it leaves play. Now, the really nice thing about this is that even leaders have like a cost to them, because they have their cost to deploy. So their like amount of resource they need to deploy is on their cost. It's like the kind of where the cost is on most cards when they deploy. And considering that Boba Fett is a bounty hunter, like this is a really nice one to just go when you deploy Boba, you can use this to take something that's got like a 5 or less cost and put under Boba, because it's just any friendly unit you can put under. So you can deploy Boba, use this for free resources to capture some of your opponents that's 5 or less, put under Boba, and because Boba's a bounty hunter, it gives him a shield, and now you can swing because you've taken something off your opponent's board. You get to untap 2 resources when you swing as well, so that's quite nice. That's a nice new addition as well. Take something like smaller from your opponent's board when like early the control things. Like if your opponent puts out a some of those, like if your opponent plays out the super laser tech, you can always just capture that, so you don't get to you don't have to worry about defeating it to give your opponent more like resources. Plus, then trigger Boba as well, which is quite cool. Give it a shield and everything like that. Like, I'm looking forward to this. Like it seems like a pretty fun one to have with Boba. Give a bit of like ways to like take out, like grab some cards for your opponents when it gets aggression and stuff like that, which could be pretty nice. Yeah, so that is the reveals for this week. So we got from last week, some nice reveals here. So look, a lot more cards and pretty nice ones, like really like hyped for set 2. But the good thing is, while we're getting hyped for set 2, it's still a while to come. So we got until we're in May now. I think it's July we get set 2. So good for me, because nice thing with this game is that the sets are spread out across the year. 3 sets a year, so are very spread out, so you can enjoy the current format with all the different like decks you can play. Because there's so many, even with set 1, there's so many different decks to play, different kind of combinations that you're like spoiled with choice. And having so much time to kind of like test it and explore it, and just basically see the meta evolve and just enjoy the format is great. while we wait for like the hype, while we have the hype for set 2 and wait for that to come out. So that is it for me today. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.